So when we work with polynomials, a lot of times we have to be able to multiply binomials. And there's different methods. I'm going to show you the FOIL method. They show that in the book. It's the method that I like. Anyway, and maybe you've seen it before. But if you have a binomial like A plus B times C plus D, then the FOIL method is an acronym. You take the first two terms, the first term in the first binomial times the first one in the second one, and that's the F in FOIL. So F in this case would be AC. And then you do the outer terms, so that's the O in FOIL, and in this case, O would be A times D, which would be AD. And then you do the inner terms. Okay, that's the I in FOIL. In this case, it would be B times C. And then finally, you probably have guessed, you take the last, which is the L in FOIL, and that's going to be, in this case, B times D. Okay, so that's the FOIL method of multiplying. You may have been taught the box method, or if you want to go back and just think about distributing, like we did in the last problem, it's going to get you the same answer. Okay? All right, so we have a couple examples here. The first one, by the way, there's an error in the book. They have that as a 10, but then in the example where they show you how to do it, it's an 18. So I can't really figure that out. So I just said, it's an error in the book. These things happen, but as a student, that always would frustrate me. So I try to point the errors out if there are any. Okay. So the first, if I'm going to use FOIL, it's 2x times 3x, which would be 6x squared. Now, if you're like, I don't get that, write the 2x times 3x and then put the 6x squared on the next one. Okay, then I'm going to do the O. So that's going to be plus, I always think about, is it positive or negative first? So it's positive times positive, 2x times 3, that's going to be 6x. Then I'm going to do the I. So the I is going to be those two. Now it's negative times a positive, so it's going to be minus. And my I is going to be 18 times 3. I think that's 54. X. Okay, and then we have a negative 18 times 3. Okay, negative times positive is negative, and that's also going to be 54. Okay, so that's the L. So that's the foiling part. And then a lot of times, now not always, but a lot of times the O and the I will be like terms and they can be combined. I guess other terms might be able to be combined, but usually it's the O and the I. So my final answer here is going to be 6x squared minus 48x minus 54. 54. Okay, so I wanted to do one more example just so you can see another example. So you go F, 2x times x, that's 2x squared. The outer, that's going to be minus 14x. The inner, this is how I usually write it out, minus 5x. And then the last, now negative times negative would be positive, so that's going to be a positive 35. Okay, make sure I did all my multiplication right. And then it looks like I can combine these two terms. So my final answer would be 2x squared minus 19x plus 35. Okay, so we're multiplying a binomial times a binomial. There's also what's called the box method. If you're used to that, I'm fine if you want to use that method, or a stacked method, that's fine too. I just usually use FOIL, but there you go.